what I hear everybody say is do what you love. It sounds great, but sometimes it's practically not possible.
Stop. We are getting ahead of ourselves. Let's rewind a bit. In the age of Instagram and easy filters, would you travel hundreds of kilometers just to take a picture? And would you do it if you had a demanding job in an innovative segment where people rely on you? Would you even find time for this? And how would you balance between family, work, and your hobbies? Here is the interview with Avishek Patra. He managed to reach it and excel at both. To find out how, let's dive into the episode. Hi Avi.
Hi,
Thanks for joining us today.
my pleasure.
So, can you paint us a picture of how is it to work in the automotive industry?
Oh, we are going directly there.
Yeah, we're starting there.
How it is to work in the automotive industry. So I think I have very specific experience in the automotive industry, especially in ADAS and autonomous driving. So mainly we work with the sensors, the software that enables all these kind of autonomous behavior. And that's actually, if you look at the bigger picture, only a smaller part of the whole system. So I can only talk from that point of view. In the ADAS and AD domain, I think it's absolutely the golden time right now because it's really challenging, at the same time very exciting. I think right now the possibilities are immense. There's a lot of chaos, I would say, but I think with any kind of disruption of technology, that is expected. So
I want to get to more into this cultural shift which is going on in the auto industry, because there have been traditionally innovations in increasing what they were doing already and on manufacturing side, whereas what you are working with is completely new and they don't have a background in software enhancements like over the air updates. All these things are quite new culturally to them, and you are in the forefront of this. So when you go to work, do you face this resistance in your day-to-day when people are not willing to accept that over the air updates are reality now compared to going to dealerships and all these things from the past?
specifically for updates, I think it's going to be both over the air and dealership. I don't think you can take it out.
Okay.
But I think talking generally about the change in the mindset, if you would say, you can clearly see that the driving factors or the driving forces in this domain or niche in industry is coming were not coming from the bigger players to start with, not the BMWs or Fords of the world, but rather they were coming from the startup industries or even the IT giants, who actually even they were catching up to smaller startups who were thinking of the possibilities of autonomous driving and AD. Then I think the bigger tech giants came in, Google, etc. And finally, of course, the OEMs, they of course understood what is the importance of it, and now they are the big horses in the race for sure. But in general, if you look at the landscape, there are hundreds of OEMs working on this or the other topic in this domain. So traditionally, I think it has been difficult for them to accept, especially in Germany. They have their established setup and model for, I think, close to 100 years. So it's a cultural shift.
And how did you land up in this field?
Yeah, that's very interesting because I think this is related to your previous question, the shift in the general technology. I have no background in automotive engineering, so I cannot explain to you how internal combustion engine works, other than maybe what one can read up on the internet. But I have a background in electrical engineering. And what I have experience in is working with sensors of different kinds. And sensors in the autonomous world are the eyes and ears of a vehicle now. So, yeah, for this, they had to leverage the expertise that was outside the automotive domain, getting all the people in the electrical engineering domain or computer science. Plus, now if you add machine learning and AI, of course, they are also very relatively recent developments. So, yeah, so they have to tap the outside sources. And yeah, that's how I sort of landed here because it seemed like a fantastic use case compared to what I was doing.
So you started as an engineer and now you're leading a team. What are some of the aspects of leading a team that you didn't think of before taking this job, and now you find, wow, this is so new to me, and in a good way and in a bad way?
So, I don't think there was any like a fixed plan that I want to lead a team or involve myself in, let's say, some more non-technical activities. I mean, still it is not the case for me. But what I have realized with my very limited experience is that we have very fantastic engineers there on the ground, working and developing awesome algorithms, playing with petabytes of data to create AI models and doing it. But as I mentioned, there's a big chaos out there. It's a disruptive technology. So it's always good to give some direction to this chaos. That's what I was feeling is something that is lacking in that area. And somehow I was probably doing that well enough alongside with my developmental activities. So yeah, seemed like, okay, I'm good at it. Why not do it?
So what would you say are some of the key qualities in choosing a team leader? Who would you choose as a team leader if you had to choose someone?
Difficult question. Can you choose your team leader? But I can say for myself. I mean, I always feel that when you're leading a team, I mean, like what I try to do, even though I am not developing the algorithms or anything, I'm always trying to catch up on the technical aspect of it. And given that I have a background in engineering, that of course helps. I'm able to keep pace with the guys. They are really fast, but I try to run behind them. And I think when you understand the problem and how it works technically, then you can think of the human aspect of how to deal problems.
Okay.
Yeah, I think a good manager is really somebody who is not really wants to be a manager. And I don't, you mentioned team lead. I don't think I have that. I just want to be a engineer who's trying to organize the development.
So as a consequence of leading a group of people, how do you deal with their cultural differences?
There's no set rule for this, I think. I mean, you have to be there to understand the guys themselves. So, and you get a feeler of what's the pain point of different people, how they behave, how they want to work. And I think in the end, it's all about a balancing act. Everybody's a professional. They want to work, but there are good days, there are bad days. And I think you have to be there understanding it. And my biggest role and biggest challenge I feel, and this is what is kind of a self-goal for me, is that need to protect the guys from the pressure up top and not percolate down, which is very easy because if the customer is shouting at the big bosses, it's, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of deadlines to keep.
Okay.
Of course, to the point that it's reasonable, not protecting or not stopping the data flow to the point that nothing functions, but being reasonable enough to play the balancing act. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go back in time and look at the time when you started studying here in Germany. So you started studying in RWTH, right? This university or this college. Is it a college or a university?
Oh, technically it's a Technische Hochschule. technical
Hopefully.
college, yeah, actually. Um, it's not your not the universities that you like, TU Munich or something, but it's not just it's not in the name, but it's definitely up there when you talk about technical universities in Germany. It's something legacy that they just still call it a Hochschule. Yeah, so I started, wow, long time back, electrical engineering, 2010, and I was coming directly from India. First time outside the country, so yeah, it was really challenging, fun.
How hard was it to get into this university?
Uh, you know what I mean? I think the biggest motivation for me was to come here and watch some football and travel the countries. So, with that motivation, I did not feel the pressure that other people sometimes feel that, oh, I have to score this and get into that. And what I wanted was not to do some work in some IT company in India. Uh, and I was not good enough to continue higher studies in India. You have these tough gate exams and so on. I'm not sure if it's still the case, but yeah.
But it's also not easy to get into RWTH, right? It's one of the most reputed technical institute here in Germany.
The process was not that difficult, to be honest. I think the application process is not that complicated like in US universities. But you won't believe me, I never applied for one US university because, as I said, I wanted to land up in Europe. So I would not say it was the process itself was that difficult. What was difficult was to survive with the kind of courses that were there.
Okay.
I was even talking to my like 2 level up boss. He is also alumni from RWTH, and we were talking about one dreaded course where he said that he failed 3 times and got the bare minimum to pass the 4th time. And I said, I've done better than you because I got slightly better. So, yeah, that would be the common story for a lot of people in RWTH because they have very tough courses. And I think more than getting in, I got out without losing a hand and a leg, I think. That's the achievement.
So, Avi, there are a lot of courses online right now. Like, for example, if you want to learn about how to program autonomous driving tools and sensors, there are courses on Udemy and other places. What is the value of a university degree now with this? When people can go online and learn things and try to find a job?
That's a very good question because, yeah, right now you have all these MOOC courses. What is it called? Math, online, whatever, you know, this MOOC thing. Um, it's a relatively recent phenomena, and you get all these courses from the Harvards and MITs of the world. But yeah, I mean, I'm talking about these courses where you really get into a topic and work on it for X number of months, for example. I mean, there are several courses on autonomous driving or ADAS on some platform. Let's forget what it is, but they really make you work on it. You are working or doing the course for months, doing assignments, programming. So it's not going to be your what is it called, walk in the park. You have to put in the effort, you have to give your time, your diligence. But yeah, then you are specialized in that specific field.
Yeah.
If you need the university degree, which gives you exposure to the wide variety of subjects in that bigger domain, for that really you can choose all the different topics and do the online courses. That's actually a good option for people who do not have the access. But at the same time, I feel university, the culture of it, working with people or with like-minded peers, colleagues, students, that adds something extra that you cannot do in these online courses.
True.
I think you would probably be right from the lectures point of view. I think I don't remember much of them. But when we were doing group projects or working in lab exercises, which in German education system, it's much more do-it-yourself kind of exercises than rather working on specific tasks. Those kind of things teach you a lot. You get to see other people working on some idea, and you are thinking, "Wow, that's a great thing." I think that you will not be able to get in the online courses. But from knowledge point of view and the theoretical knowledge point of view, yes, you get that. So you have to take it everything with a pinch of salt. There's advantage and disadvantage for both. Probably the online courses are cheaper if you look at the bigger term, the bigger picture. University education, especially in America, I know that it's pretty expensive. So it's a give and take.
So, but like, would you hire somebody who has done it on their own on this one of those online platforms? And how would you evaluate that?
Yeah, when it comes to working, I think a university degree or an online certificate, both of them don't prove how much you can or cannot do. It's always, I think the education section of the CV, it's good. It gives you an idea where the person has done, or maybe even they can have this online certifications. That's good to give you an idea of what the domain is. But if you want to see what the person has really done, go to the practical aspects of work that they have done. And that will give you an idea. And for me, especially if I'm looking at somebody, I'm always looking for people who can solve problems. They don't have to really work in the specific domain or need to know a specific language to really work. It helps if you come with those skills. But given a choice that somebody who has a 1.0 but no experience versus somebody who has practical knowledge, and he has also done a university degree, maybe not with 1.0 kind of grades. I think the guy who wants to do practically, execute, I prefer those kind of people. And I try to learn from them because I also want to upskill myself. And when you surround yourself with people who are the doers, then I think automatically you are also pushed up. So, yeah.
So, a while ago you mentioned that you landed up in RWTH for two reasons. One was to study, another one was to travel in Europe. Traveling for you has another side to it. I know this because we are friends apart from this also, that you love photography. How did you get into that?
Love for photography actually is a second chapter or even somewhere middle in the book, because I didn't really love photography for the longest time in my life. My father or my parents both have been like, so I come from a Bengali family, and it's a common saying that the Bengalis save enough so that they can go for one vacation a year. So that's the kind of household I grew up in. Holidays or vacations were always traveling to the Himalayas or some of these places, going for treks and hikes. And I think I hear the stories or even see pictures from my childhood, like 3 years old or so, going on treks. I don't remember them, of course. But yeah, somehow I had this travel bug in myself because of my parents. Photography was there always in my life because my father, along with being a traveler, he was also a photographer. So I have always seen a camera in my house. SLR. The DSLRs did not come back then, so I've seen all kind of manual lenses, old Pentax cameras, which really you don't even get these days. But I never really loved that. I knew how to click photos. I knew the technical differences, aperture, shutter speed, this, that. Didn't really love it. But when I landed in Europe, my idea was okay, I have the ticket to, I don't know, 25 Schengen states.
Okay.
I'll just travel. And the first thing I did when I landed was to look for a student job so I can sponsor my trips. And for a large part of the initial years, I would just save enough, go for weekend trips. And I had a camera gifted by my parents, so I would just take it and click photos. And if you go to a Paris or a Rome, whatever you click is exotic, it's beautiful. I loved it. My friends back in India loved it. And I thought, I'm the best photographer in the world. But I still did not love photography. I was just clicking. People liked it. And as it would happen, I was turning 30. And I said, I've done a really big thing in my life by traveling to 30 countries before I turn 30. So I will write a book on that and put my images, and it will be the bestseller in the world, and people will be inspired and everything.
Was it?
That's when I was really looking into my photographs and said, this is garbage. This is not, I would not even look at them right now, except for the memory's sake. And that's when I decided, okay, what's wrong? Why is it that I have been to the nicest of places in the world? I have a good camera, but why are my photographs not as good as, not even a professional, but let's say the amateur photographers who are really into it? And I think that's the middle of the book, or X number of chapters later. I said, okay, I have to take photography seriously. I can't publish a book like this. So I have a manuscript somewhere, but never worked on it after that because I dedicated myself to do better landscape photography.
Okay. But for those who have not grown up with a camera in their household, I'll rephrase that question. Everybody wants to learn guitar and do good photography.
Yeah.
So for this novices, how would you advise to approach this? Because we tend to keep on doing this, try to get better photographs over and over again, but still not improve. But you seem to have broken that barrier. And
so for that, Raj, I have asked you to come on trips with me, and you have not. So first you have to get off your bed and come. Sure. But this guitar and camera phenomena, I think, I don't know, was it before my years? I'm not that old, but when I was in college, everybody is doing one or the other, and I was not doing either of them. But I think it was more like it was a cool thing to do. I think it can get you started. You can do a little bit of this and that, but unless you start loving it, it really does not happen. So the suggestion would, don't force into it. You give me a camera, I'll go into a forest, stay there the whole day, even if I'm not clicking photos, and I'll come back home the happiest. I always say that when I'm out there with a camera, that's my happiest. That's my meditation. That's my whatever people do, yoga, to de-stress. If I sit on a computer with those images to process them, to share them, this, that, all that fun is gone. On the field, that's my nirvana.
Was there any of your trips where you felt, this is not worth it, this is too hard, and it's raining, or can you share one of such stories?
Every time, because photography is, especially, so I am doing a lot more of landscape photography now, and that means you are going to environments to capture that specific light or specific moment, which one is not usually seeing. So for that, it's really difficult. I mean, summer times are the worst. You try to shoot the sunset, then maybe try to shoot some astro stars, the Milky Way maybe, and then there's the sunrise. So if you want to do all three of them, which one would try to do if you're in a really nice location in Austria or in the Dolomites? Just imagine sunset is happening at 9 p.m. Then you are staying awake till say 12, 1, whenever the Milky Way comes up, and then sunrise is at 5. So it's crazy. Plus, then to access these difficult places, you are often like I am doing a lot of hikes. The only reason for me to get some kind of fitness in summer is so that I can carry my 12-kilo backpack and go up the mountains. So that's difficult in any case. Plus, then you're doing this kind of schedule, sleeping in a tent. It's difficult, but I think when you reach that destination and you are there all alone with the stars, I think that gives something feels inside that's really nice.
Okay.
And I think all the pain is forgotten.
Oh, but that sounds like a very grueling schedule. How do you balance between that and your work?
That's a good question. I mean, it's difficult again because that's not my day job, but it takes a lot of effort and planning and time. So so I'm a father, and before we had a kid, it was a lot easier. Let's say you could be a lot more spontaneous, but now it comes down all to perfect planning to the T, packing the bag properly, making sure that, a lot of these trips, of course, I do solo because you cannot do it with a kid, but still you have to make sure that everything is right in the house so that you can take off for a couple of days. I think you have to plan to make it work.
Because it's not just your kid and partner. Your work is also, I would say, more than average challenging. So that's an added pressure.
Sure, but luckily, the culture of work in Germany is that, and that's something I've learned and I try to follow, is that you have to make sure there's a good balance between your work life and your personal life. And it's you cannot predict how it will go. We do plan, and a lot of times I have to cancel because of the work situation may not permit, or maybe I'm already too tired from work so that I can't go for a 12-kilometer hike the following weekend. So there are difficulties, but I think sometimes the passion pushes me out of the bed, and that helps.
So you take these wonderful pictures and come back and try to edit them with your tools and publish them. Do you use any of these generative tools along for post-processing?
For post-processing, I gave it a try to. So Adobe Photoshop has already integrated some of these components. Already they were doing it even a few years back with, let's say, sky replacement or removing objects from some part of the picture. Nowadays, of course, it has developed to such level that you can add a whale and a mermaid to your background. There's also Midjourney, several other tools available. So from the curiosity point of view, plus given that I come from a tech background, I'm quite interested in how all these generative AIs are working. I'm using ChatGPT a lot for a lot of daily mundane stuff. So from that point of view, I have used to see how it works, but never to edit my photographs, not the generative ones. I mean, there are AI tools which are, for example, selecting a specific part of picture, which makes it much easier to work on the processing. Those kind of things I have done because it helps with the workflow. But creating something out of nowhere is something I've not done. But because just as I was mentioning, that's not because I have some positive or negative about the whole aspect. It's just that I do photography for self-satisfaction. And as I said, I mean, I'm the happiest when I'm out there.
Yeah.
AI or no AI, when I come back to the processing table, I am always thinking, oh, I should have done something differently or this or that. So, yeah, I think I don't care much about that anymore.
But how would you feel if one certain day you realize that some generative AI thing has used your image, which you have worked so hard on, and generated something based off it?
Um,
I'm
yeah,
asking you
I
this
think,
because you are, as you said, a dedicated hobbyist who spends considerable amount of time capturing those images.
if a AI model uses my image for training, I don't think I can say I have thought about this before. I know there are a lot of these discussions on policies, even I think the bigger players of the world, the photo stock image websites of the world, they are more scared about it, angry about it. So I don't think I was really thinking from my personal point of view. Uh, I honestly can't say if I will feel good or bad because it's like nice from the technical point of view. Oh, my image is going as one of the training data, and then maybe it's contributing something nice to the end product. From the copyright point of view, I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. I think it's too early for us to discuss about individual people. Maybe the people who are earning bread and butter out of this and that throws them off their job, they would feel really bad about it, and rightly so. For me, because it's more of a passion project and not really, yeah, I think I cannot comment.
Talking about throwing people out of their job, because the way things are going, and you are very uniquely placed in this whole, won't say mess, but in this situation where on one side you are driving the technologies that would lead us to more and more automation, and as a consequence of that we may end up having lesser jobs. So let's take a scenario where AGI is here and that has taken it, and that helps you in making a lot of decisions. So what role do team leaders have to play in that world? Because then there will, I'm just thinking out loud here, that there will be no team needed, right? Because most of the work would be automated. How do you see that future? Because I ask you this because you're being a team leader of in an automation industry, and yeah.
So, firstly, about AGI or something that is really, really smart. I mean, we are not talking about
The
the
ones which are
weaker
there.
AIs, not the classification or pattern recognition ones, but really somebody who's there sitting there, taking the decision, understanding the context. I mean, I think all the industries are working towards it, but as much we are working, we realize how difficult it is to replicate a human-like thinking to get there. It's I can't even put a number when we can have or number in terms of years, because let's say from autonomous driving point of view, There are basically 5 levels of automation, and level 5 is where you have a driver, like completely driverless car. You just put your input, source and destination, like in Google Map, and you are there. I can't even put a number to that. It may be decades. I don't know. I'm no expert. I mean, there are bigger people out there making more predictions. Some American startup says it's 10 years away. I'm forgetting which one. And I think, was it Audi CEO? One of the big OEM CEOs who said that driverless is impossible.
Okay.
So I think the truth lies somewhere in between 10 years and never. But I think we'll figure it out. I mean, there's a very, very good example from a podcast I heard that they stopped using horse carriages turn of the last century. We still have horses.
True.
So I don't think humans are going to go away or their importance is going to reduce. It will help us a lot in a lot of activities that we do every day, but we will also evolve.
Yeah.
Technology has taught us how to evolve. We search on Google very differently than we were doing 10 years back.
True.
So we will evolve.
So, what advice would you give somebody who's just starting to look for a career or going to a university as a person?
I'm not that old to give advice to people. But I think what I hear everybody say is do what you love. It sounds great, but sometimes it's practically not possible. So you have to be smart to choose something that's kind of in the direction that interests you, that you find challenging, and after all, gives you enjoyment and motivation to work on that every day. That's how I landed up in autonomous driving domain. I come from a very different background. I was working with 5G, researching on that, and realized really I don't love it. And with my knowledge of sensors, I decided, okay, this is a good use case, and I see myself working on that challenge. And that's how I landed. But I think things will change as you go ahead. You will have to figure that out yourself. Be smart enough to realize that, yes, you need to recalibrate yourself once in a while. And I think the one thing is that, of course, I see this, maybe this is how human social behavior is changing over time, is there's a need for instant gratification in every sense, in jobs as well. I am slightly old school in that sense that you have to pay your dues to get to somewhere up. So I think that's it.
Thanks, Avi. Thanks for that great advice.
Thanks a lot for inviting.